All right, welcome back to Lost in the Shuffle. Today we are sponsored by FanDuel. Go to fanduel.com/Sheffield Shuffler. They will give you 20% back off of your initial deposit up to $500. Today we have a very special guest, Brenden Deeg. What's up, Brenden?
I'm doing well, man. How you doing?
Good. Am I saying that correctly? Brenden Deeg?
You nailed it. You nailed it. Most people screw it up. You got it first try. I'm pretty proud of you.
Beautiful. Thank you. So, Brenden, you are a writer at Football Post. You are the co-host of Double Doink podcast, which I take as a personally, because I am a Bears fan. So that is probably one of the most infamous things that as a Bears fan that we can hear. So
my co-host is a Bears fan, so that's the Double Doink. There you go. So
wow,
that's how it kind of comes together.
And he agreed to that name.
He actually is the one who created the name. So
oh my goodness,
he was completely okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to the last episode that you put out. I don't know, it was like yesterday or something about Eagles Cowboys. So yeah, tell me about it. So are you from Philly? I saw in your Twitter you're from Canada, but you guys do a lot of Philly stuff. So how does that work?
So I'm born and raised in about 40 minutes outside of Toronto. So I'm still here now. I was actually in Philly for the home opener though. So I was in Philadelphia last weekend. So yeah, I was born and raised, been a diehard Eagles fan my whole life. Just kind of got involved in Eagles Twitter about 7 years ago. Loved it's probably I know I'm biased here, but it's probably the best Twitter personalities on there from Philadelphia. And I've always just wanted to talk about sports. I've been into sports gambling for the past few years. So I got started off at 4th and John, which is an Eagles website, wrote there for a bit. Then wrote for the NFL Spin Zone via Fansided for 2 years. Then went from there, got a job at the National Football Post part-time. And that's what I do now, talking about sports gambling there, and still always very active on Eagles Twitter. So if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, make sure you follow me.
Well, as you can tell, I got my Eagles shirt on today, my Jason Kelsey Hungry Dogs Run Faster. So I'm from Chicago. I'm born and raised in Chicago. My wife is from Philly. We're right outside of Philly, like Cherry Hill, Marlton area. So I'm starting to assimilate to the culture, starting to adopt a little bit of like the Phillies, Eagles stuff. And I've been enjoying it so far. Mm-hmm. So, so you're obviously a Phillies fan. I saw you guys do a lot of work in regards to Philly stuff. So tell me, like, what do you do? Like, what's your process every day? Because obviously you do a lot of writing for Football Post. You do the Double Doink podcast. So like, what's your process when you wake up in the morning? What are you doing? Are you doing research? How do you find what you want to write about? Kind of walk me through that.
So I do run 4 podcasts a week, Monday to Thursday. So Monday, Wednesday is the Double Doink podcast. That's with me and my co-host Eric, who's the Bears fan I was talking about. So that's generic NFL and gambling. Then Tuesdays, Thursdays is Eagles Talk with Deeg. I just launched that show this year. So that is just strictly Philadelphia Eagles talk. So on Thursdays, we have Thomas Peterson from Breaking the Birds YouTube channel, who's one of the best film breakdowns, Philadelphia Eagles film breakdown guys on YouTube. He's great Eagles Twitter follower. He's very well known Eagles Twitter. He comes on Thursdays to break down the previous week's film and then look forward to preview the game ahead. And then Tuesdays is just a different writer I have on. So I had Bull Wolf of The Athletic on last week, Connor Miles of Sports Illustrated coming on this weekend. There'll be recurring guests throughout the year. And then I write 5 game previews for the National Football Post every week. It's more betting. So National Football Post is more of a betting angle. And so it's gambling with football kind of merged into one. It's trying to get the best of both worlds there. So there's obviously like injury updates and signing updates, but there's a lot of gambling on there as well. I write 5 game previews a week for that. Then I do anytime touchdown picks for all the night games and and 5 for the Sunday slate. So I've actually tracked them now, and I'm going to be putting out a spreadsheet later today. I'm waiting for my Sunday article to come up, and then I'm going to track it, and then I'm going to unload the spreadsheet. So I'm tracking them all. So anytime touchdowns is kind of my main focus. Mm-hmm. And I also do a show with Gilles Gallant of FTN Bets. He was previously of OddsShark. So every Sunday at 11 a.m. it's called Touchdown Town. So I wasn't there last week because I was in Philadelphia, but I was there. I was on it week 1, and I'll be on it for the rest of the year. But yeah, Gilles a great guy. I got good friends with him about 2 years ago. He got me in. He's the anytime touchdown king.
I started following him on OddsSharks. He does that. Did that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So he got me into that 2 years ago, and that's been kind of my focus at the Football Post for the last year.
Also big on turnovers too. He likes betting those
Yeah,
live bet.
he's a live bet turnover guy.
Yeah.
He's really into that.
So, we have a podcast as well. It's called the Hashmark Show. They do a lot of betting, NFL stuff. So, tell me your process. Like, what are you doing during the week when you're looking at a Sunday slate or night games or whatever? What are you doing? Are you waking up and looking at defenses versus offensive rush? Like, what's your process look like?
So, I use three main websites for my research: Football Outsiders, PFF, and True Media. Those are the three analytic websites. If you really want to kind of get down in the dirty and kind of see how teams are going, those are the three websites I use. You can use a bunch of generics. You can use ESPN.com. You can use NFL.com. Like, they're the main ones: passing yards per game, rushing yards per game, that kind of stuff. But I'm more of an analytic guy. I've kind of turned myself that over the last year to kind of the analytic style. I think that's where football's going in general, is that direction. So I want to get ahead of the curve and use those three websites. But honestly, I'm not a spread guy. I bet one spread this year so far, and it was the Houston Texans +8. It did not hit. It was Houston Texans +8 on Thursday night. I put my picks on the National Football Post, but all the bets I make are for so far this year have been only anytime touchdown bets.
Okay.
So that's my main focus. So fantasy points allowed, touchdowns allowed. So
by position.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going through those all week, getting prepared for Sunday, and of course Thursday night games, Monday night games, and whatnot. But that's my main focus. I'd say like the previews are more for just getting the stats out to the viewers. Like, so Football Outsiders is a metric called DVOA. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's more of an analytic side to how good an offense, how good a defense, and how good a team is doing. So a lot of the previews are just kind of showing DVOA metrics. True Media has a lot of like interesting stats. So I just try to put statistics kind of out there for the readers, kind of put it all into one, and then I make a pick at the end. But I've said it before the year. I don't take these with a grain of salt because I'm not actually betting them. It's just if I was to lean one way. But yeah, my main focus is anytime touchdown bets.
Well, I like that you said that, Brenden, because one thing that I hate that really bothers me for whatever reason, and I don't know if you've seen it as well. Do you have TikTok? You have TikTok. Twitter. Now, there's these guys who are handicappers, right? And, lock of the day. I mean, anybody that has a platform,
no such thing.
that they feel like they are I'm the best. I know the most about fantasy football and gambling on TikTok or on Twitter. And it's just such a diluted market because everybody has a platform. So what I want to know from you, because and I think I know the answer, it would be like analytics and statistics, but how do you differentiate yourself? How do you stand out from such a diluted market where everyone is, here's my picks for today. Here's my picks for today. And they're saying that they're pros or whatever. So how do you stand out from all of that mess?
So that's why I kind of went into the anytime touchdown market. Football, and if you've been following football the last 5-10 years, more touchdowns are getting scored, right? The offense is the key to the game now. People are finding the end zone. It's very rare. Like back in the day, there used to be 6-3 football games. Like 3-0,
right?
Like, you know what I mean? 9-6. It doesn't happen.
I'm a Bears fan. I know that.
Yeah, if you were a Bears fan growing up, you definitely saw those style of games. It doesn't happen anymore. At least one player is going to find the end zone every single game. At least now, it's that's actually an interesting thing. I would probably look up when the last time a touchdown wasn't scored, but at least one is going to get scored. So that's why I went to that market. It's becoming a more popular bet. So I want to get ahead of the curve. And of course, I learned from the best from Gilles. So that's how I kind of differentiate myself, trying to get ahead of this because it's a trend now. People are starting to bet anytime touchdowns more than they ever have just because more people find the end zone. And the way you have to do it is you have to find the best value. So if you bet 3 games, so perfect example, Thursday Night Football, I had 3 picks. I had DJ Moore plus 135. I had who was my other Panther? Oh, so who was my Texan? I had Brandon Cooks plus 200 and Sam Darnold plus 450. Sam Darnold finds the end zone, and you already get your money back plus more just from that plus 450 bet. And he scored both Panthers touchdowns.
Right.
So, and Tommy Tremble had 1 too. So it's like if you can find 1 out of 3, that's a plus 300 or more, you get your money back. So you're going to lose bets. And that's something that, like you said, people like to say that they got locks of the week. This is the best content. Everyone's lying. You got to be able to find, like for right now, I am 11 for 16 out of 27 anytime touchdown bets. It's a losing record, but I'm up 6.7 units.
Of course, yeah.
So I like anytime touchdown bets because it's wonky. Like it's crazy stuff happens all the time. There's no formula to it. But if you do enough research, if you follow the odds throughout the week, you can find gems and you can make money off it, and it's fun. It's a fun bet to place. And you're not pissed off about this team punting and whatnot. You're cheering for both teams, right? If
right.
you just do the touchdown bets, you're cheering for both sides.
And what you're doing is looking for value, right? Like you're saying, if this might not hit, but I can see value in this. This defense has given up the most fantasy points to tight ends. So that's why I want to take George Kittle this week. I saw that you wrote about that, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So George Kittle, Packers have given the most touchdowns to tight ends. It's early, so it's really hard to use those stats right now. But that one kind of caught my eye. Right now, it's very hard to say a team's allowed the most receiving touchdowns. Like the Tennessee Titans, for instance, have allowed the 6th most touchdowns to wide receivers so far this year. That one you can use because the next team has 4. So there's a differential there, and the Titans defense is probably not going to get better. But teams change, right? Like it's only 2 games, so it's a small sample size. So you have to start like you were looking at last year's trends. But right now, I'm just trying to find value. Like, what were the odds from a guy last week? Is it more this week? Has the snap counts gone down? Like that kind of stuff? Because there's not much data to go off of right now. It's only 2 weeks.
Right. So what advice would you give to people that are trying to get involved in like sports betting world, or like, how are you hired by these companies? Obviously you do a lot of writing for them, you do a lot of work for them, but if someone's trying to break into these, these companies, what advice would you say, the steps that you would take?
So put out content, like constantly put out content. It's hard. It's not easy. Like I've been at this for 7 years. I started on Eagles Twitter 7 years ago. I got my first job at the 4th and John 5 years ago. Like I've put in the work. I just hit 10K followers on Twitter. It's taken me that long. It's not easy. I've had to restart. I've actually had a Twitter account shut down, so I've had to restart, but that's a long story. But anyways, it's put out content, constantly put out content and meet people, talk to people, DM people, make friends, reply to people's tweets, if you're a TikTok guy, if you're more a visual guy, reply to people's TikToks. Like you just got to put your name out there and keep trying. Don't get down if you have a bad weekend in betting and people are getting mad at you or anything like that. Yeah. Everyone has rough weeks. It's not easy. It's hard. It's hard to win money here. No one's perfect. Never believe someone when they say that they have a lock. It's not true. It's very hard to make it in this business. So that's kind of my advice. Constantly put out content and just keep going. Stick at it. Like I said, it's been a 7-year road, and I'm happy where I am right now, but I still have a long way to go.
Yeah, and along those lines of you saying people getting mad at you. One thing too is that just means people are watching you. It's like, hey, thanks for the views, thanks for the engagement. That algorithm is just only going to help me and my brand, right? Exactly.
No, you nailed it. And like I said, it's you're gonna have bad weeks. You're gonna go through slumps. Like for instance, last Sunday, like I went 1 for 4 anytime touchdown bets. And the Thursday night game before that, I was 0 for 3. So I was a 1 for 7 slate. But then Sunday Night Football hits, and I was 2 for 3. Right, so like it's a roller coaster ride, even with spreads. Like, the thing with bet spreading is there's so much out there. So try to niche it somehow. Try to make it fun, and that way TikTok's a great way to kind of get started right now. And that's something that I need to look into and get into. I've always keep saying next week I'm going to start. Next week I'm going to start. But like it's hard. But just don't get down if you have bad weeks, and just constantly keep pushing forward and keep pushing out content.
And the whole point, I think, too, is to bring value, right? Bring 3 points on why I'm going to take this. I am taking George Kittle because X, Y, and Z. And if it doesn't hit, that's fine. But at least I'm giving you an analytical view on why I'm doing it, as opposed to take this just because I say. So I think that's part of the thing as well, is to add value. Just say why I'm taking this, and then you do what you want with it.
Yeah, and if you're going to do anytime, if you want to get in the anytime touchdown space and you want to like start posting your picks, don't be like Keenan Allen's going to score plus 125 today. Like Keenan Allen's freaking awesome. Like there's probably a good chance that he's going to find the end zone. Find like a guy that, not saying no one's heard of, but find like little like niches, nicks in the wall, like breaks in the foundation. Like don't go for the plus 100 guys, and when he hits you freak out. Like majority of people probably took that bet. And look, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but that's my advice, is like don't just be obvious. If you're doing the night games, because there's only 2 teams. But if you want to put out your Sunday slate games, like try to find like second, third wide receivers, backup running backs, backup quarterbacks. Those guys hit. You can find them. Like there's value in those. And like I said, touchdowns are wonky. Like Thursday Night Football, Sam Darnold and Tommy Tremble. Like who would have thunk that?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like no one. So they were like, I think both of them were over plus 400 odds, right? So it's a hard business, but try to just make it your own, and again, keep pushing out content.
Especially if you had Sam Darnold that first touchdown, because that was like 1,400, I think.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you have any advice or any tips for this Sunday slate? Anything to look out for? Anything you've been researching?
Yeah, so I just logged my anytime touchdown scores, just got up for this week. So I'll give you 3. And I'm gonna make you go to the National Football Post and get all 5.
Yes.
Or listen to Touchdown Town tomorrow with me and Jill. So I'll give you 3 for tomorrow that I do like. KJ Osborne, the Minnesota Vikings, he is their 3rd wide receiver. He already has 12 catches for 167 yards and a touchdown. He's playing over 60% of the snaps. He is a guy that I really like. He's a 3rd wide receiver, and they are desperately need a guy behind Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. He's kind of taken that role and taken off. So that's a guy like a plus 225. I'll give you a couple long shots, or kind of my 2 big ones. I'm going to blow this name. Olamide Zaccheaus, I think that's how you pronounce it. He is the Falcons' 3rd wide receiver. Russell Gage is out, so he is now their 2nd wide receiver. He is at plus 380 on DraftKings or FanDuel right now. Those are really juicy odds. He's a deep threat there. Giants defense isn't very good. They've led the 6th most yards in total so far. So that's a guy like a plus 380. You get a 2nd wide receiver at that value. Sign me up. And then my biggest long shot of the day is Elijah Moore plus 400. That is at FanDuel. The Jets offense has to start clicking at some point, right? Like I think it's got to start hitting. They invested a 2nd round pick in the guy. And getting him at plus 400, he had 8 targets last week. He's their 2nd option basically right now behind Corey Davis. So plus 400, sign me up there. And then if you want to get the other 2, go to my National Football Post, an article, or listen to Touchdown Town tomorrow. Yeah,
Brenden, tell everybody where they can find you, your Twitter, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, best places to find you.
So you can follow me on Twitter at Brenden Deeg NFP. And you can also follow the National Football Post at Football Post on Twitter. Again, 5 previews a week, anytime touchdown. It's every single night game and 5 during the Sunday slate games. Yeah, and just follow. Those are the only 2 kind of platforms I use. I'm not on TikTok as of right now or anything like that. But yeah, man, I really appreciate having me on. All right, awesome. This has been Brenden Deeg. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. And thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you soon.